Today, I want to take you on a journey of the ups and downs of running a business from home. 5 years into running my own business from home, I've learned a thing or two about what to do, but more importantly, what not to do if you want to remain productive and if you want to start seeing growth in your business. Now, let me take you back to the beginning. After 15 years of working in the corporate world without taking really any significant breaks, even when I got married, I took 2 weeks off. When I had my daughter, I took 45 days off. In between jobs, I barely took any time off. So the excitement and the giddiness that I felt with my newfound freedom when I decided to leave my job and start my own business from home was unbelievable. And because of that, I made some mistakes. Some of them are, accepting a coffee invitation anytime during the week, because back when I worked in the corporate world, I couldn't do that. The only time I could see my friends or family was usually on weekends. And those weekends were usually packed with other things that I needed to do, errands that I needed to run, specific people that I needed to see. So I never felt completely free in those 15 years. So when I started my own business, I felt like, yeah, sure, if my best friend calls me for coffee at 11 in the morning on a Tuesday, of course I'm going to say yes. If my mom calls me at 12:30 in the afternoon and I'm still in the middle of a task, of course I'm going to answer. I'm not at the office. I don't have a meeting. And those were some of the biggest mistakes that I started making from the beginning that I want to advise you not to make. You see, you and I, we started our careers in the corporate world. So we have that mentality and the mindset of the employee. And if we're not careful, we start bringing this mindset into our own business. And because of that, we start seeing all of this time where no one's asking us for anything, where we don't have meetings, as free time. But let me remind you, right now, as the owner of your own business, you are the boss. You get to say what's important and what's not important. And if you start out by allowing anyone and everyone to call you whenever they want, allow yourself to get up from work to do things around the house, to be interrupted, to be distracted, then you're the one who's going to end up paying the price for that. So today I want to share with you 5 of my favorite tips for staying productive when you're running your business and working from home. Number 1, and this might be so obvious, so boring, but these are the things that get our business to the success that we want it to get to. And this is the power of planning. Now, you could be busy. You could be doing a lot of things all of the time and feel like at the end of the day, wow, this was a really busy day. Productive, I'm not so sure. But have you moved any closer to achieving your goals? Were you working from a very specific set of tasks and goals that you are trying to achieve in this day and in this week and in this month? Now, the topic of planning is a really big one. If you feel like you need help and support when it comes to planning and deciding what to do every single day and how to manage and balance your personal life and your work life as you're running your business, I created a video that you can go watch right after this one, and I'll leave it in the description below as well, where I walk you through a step-by-step process of a planning system that I've been following for years after I realized that running my own business required that I do a different kind of planning than I used to do when I was working in the corporate world. So make sure you go watch this one after watching today's video. But the bottom line is, never start your day without knowing exactly what you need to do today. Now, this sounds a little bit idealistic. So initially, I used to want myself to be 100% planned and know exactly what I'm doing. But right now, I'm okay with working my plan 80% of the time. And I love to leave the 20% where I'm open for intuitive nudges. I'm open for things showing up in my life that were not planned. So my advice to you is make a plan and stick to it at least 80% of the time. It makes a huge difference. And at the end of the day, you'll feel like you actually accomplished something because you know what you had to work on. And now you can say, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't do it. Makes sense, right? My second tip is something that I heard Jerry Seinfeld talk about once. Somebody asked him, how do you stay productive? How do you keep coming up with ideas and jokes and skits and all of these funny things that you talk about? And he said that what he does is he has been writing every single day of his career for 2 hours a day. Now, here's what's interesting about the way he does it. He says that he schedules these 2 hours to write. Now, sometimes, like all of us, he has writer's block. Sometimes he's not in the mood. But what he does is he does sit down to do his writing. If nothing comes to him, he doesn't do anything. But his rule is he's not allowed to do anything else. He's not allowed to play with his phone. He's not allowed to open his laptop. He's not allowed to read a book for inspiration or go to Instagram to be inspired again. He had to either write or do nothing at all. So this advice is for you as well. When you decide in your planning that I need to work on this thing, don't allow yourself to work on anything else. This has worked with me because sometimes I also have content block and writer's block, but I do schedule writing time and creativity time into my week, and I'm not always inspired. But I find that if I force myself to sit down, if I force myself to start writing and not allow myself to get distracted with anything else other than the task at hand, that eventually I start getting into the flow of things and my creativity starts, flowing and ideas start coming. Tip number 3 is something that I really struggled with in the beginning, and that is choosing your end time. Now, most of us know when we're going to start working. Maybe you drop off your kids to school, maybe you work out, maybe you do something in the morning, and then you sit down to start working. So it's not really a problem as to when we start working, but what I've noticed with myself and with other entrepreneurs and clients that I work with is that because you're at home, you think that you can be working any time of the day. I'm relaxing on the couch. It's okay if I send a message now. I'm having lunch with my kid, but maybe I can shoot a quick reel right now. It's evening and I'm with my family, but I can be doing something else that's related to work. And this really started impacting me and my relationships negatively. So my advice to you is to decide, what time am I going to finish work? I'm going to finish work for the day no matter what. Now, of course, there are times when you have projects or you're in the middle of a launch or there's a big deadline that you're heading towards. That's okay when you have to do that temporarily for a short period of time. But on a daily, more regular basis, it's really important that you decide what time you're ending work. These days, I try my best to finish my work by 2:30. This was one of my goals from the beginning, to not be working in the afternoon. I felt like this is part of the freedom that I got by getting out of the corporate world, to be able to pick up my daughter from school, to spend the afternoon with her, to take her to her activities, not while thinking, oh my God, I have so much to do. So once you have that end time, plus the first tip of having a plan, now you can be much more productive in a limited amount of time. Tip number 4 is don't be generous with your time, that is. Listen, I'm all for generosity. I'm all for giving. I'm all for showing up for people, for your family and your friends and everything. But I have learned that if you don't value your own time, if you don't respect your own time, nobody else will. And if you continue to be generous with your time, yeah, sure, I can pick you up when you ask me to pick you up. Oh, sure, you can pick my brains whenever you want, and we can stay on a call for 45 minutes because you had something to ask me. That's my generosity. That is something that you need to stop right now, because this is now your business. And nobody is going to care about your business, no matter what, no matter how close they are to you, as much as you do. So you get to train people about how to respect you, your time, your boundaries, and your business. So the most important point here is to establish these boundaries around your business and around your working time. And to make sure, one of the things that I fell for is I used to get calls from my husband who was at the office telling me, hey, Muna, since you're home, can you call the AC guy? Or a friend would call, listen, since you're home, can I drop off my kid because I need to go do something? This sentence that starts with, since you're home, clearly shows that people are not taking the business seriously. They're not taking your working time seriously, because if you were at an office working in the corporate world with a real boss, nobody's going to say, well, since you're at the office, I'm going to drop off my kid to you, or since you're at the office, call the AC guy. No. So, of course, nobody's going to think of that for you. This is why it's up to you to create these boundaries and to communicate them to those closest to you. And the last tip here is to get your family on board. What I mean is, when you have a business idea, there's a vision in your mind that literally nobody else can see. This is the definition of an entrepreneur, creating something that didn't exist before. That means that there's something in your mind that hasn't come to life that only you can see. I found that when I share what I see in my mind with my husband and even with my daughter, who's only 7 years old, that I get so much more support from them. I get less interruptions, I get less distractions, because they can see what I'm seeing. They can see the future that I'm envisioning. They can see what I'm building towards. And doing that is such a simple switch from asking in a way where, I'm so sorry, I have to go to work. I'm sorry, I have to be working this afternoon. Or excuse me, I can't come to the school activity because I have something important, to unapologetically saying that I'm working towards something. And the more they can see that vision with you, the more support you're going to get from those around you. Listen, at the end of the day, I want you to realize one of the things that I really didn't get in the beginning, that leaving your job and becoming an entrepreneur is not about creating another job for yourself, where you're waiting for someone to tell you what to do. You're waiting for someone to give you your deadlines. You're waiting for someone almost to give you permission. You're waiting, or you're working really hard thinking that hard work is what's going to bring in money and clients. You have to realize that becoming an entrepreneur requires you to start thinking and behaving like an entrepreneur. I dive deep into that in this video over here, which you can also find the link to in the description below, where I talk to you about the key differences and the key changes that you need to make as you transition from employee to entrepreneur. Now, if you're still in a full-time job and you're starting to think about building your own business and working from home as well, then I advise you to watch this video over here, where I walk you through what you need to do to start a business on the side, which I believe is a very smart idea if you're someone who's worried about, financials, worried about this business actually working. So this is a safer way of starting a business and starting to generate money and starting to bring in happy and paying clients before you make the decision to leave your job. So make sure you check this video out today after watching this one. Now, as a thank you for being here, I have a short training for you, a free training that I create around 30 minutes, where I walk you through a step-by-step process to making your first or your next $1,000 in your business. I've had people tell me that within 2 weeks of watching this video and following the steps exactly to the T, they made their first $1,000. So make sure you check out this free training from the link underneath this video. Thanks again for being here, and I'll see you next time.